Welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm excited to have Alex Smithies with us, ex-England international youth player, over I think it's 400 appearances. Alex, and you play some of the top teams in the country. Welcome, how are you?
I'm really well, thank you, yeah. Just been, before we started this, talking about children taking over our lives, so
yeah,
very much in the depths of that. Obviously starting out on a new career in the last couple of years since football, so lots going on. But yeah, I'm all well, thank you.
Has that helped you? Like, obviously you've got young children. I guess when you're in the game, you hear stories where players have to miss Christmases, birthdays, etc. But now you're out of the game, I guess means you spend a bit more time with your family.
Yeah, I think one of the main sacrifices is time spent away. So Christmases, New Year, birthdays, you all these kids' parties, you seem to miss everything. It always seems to time it with a game, and it's actually a really selfish industry. You know, if, in order to do well, you have to put yourself first, and it's nice to not be, the centre of attention and not have to be the priority at home anymore. And everyone's sort of jumping through hoops to accommodate my schedule, so it's nice to be able to put others first, to be honest.
Yeah, must be a bit strange for you, right? Complete transition going from playing and you're just in that zone, I guess you're with your teammates all the time, to none of that anymore and completely sort of like different career.
Yeah, I mean, every player becomes sort of institutionalised with, the system and being told what to do, what to eat, when to go to bed, all these sorts of things. So I've always been quite an independent person, so I've liked the freedom. So I actually retired a couple of weeks before Christmas a couple of years ago, so that was the best Christmas of all time.
Yeah, that must have been strange though, right?
Yeah,
Something you probably weren't expecting.
I did want to get on those weighing scales at the beginning of January, put it that way.
Nice. Well, I'm sure we'll get on to that. I kind of want to start, like I do with most of my guests, right at the start. So you were at Huddersfield from young, but what was your story getting into the academy? Just tell us where it all started, where football started for you.
Yeah, so my story, I was in the academy system. It was a school of excellence back then, but I was playing for Huddersfield from the start. So I pretty much had probably less than a year playing for my Sunday League team, West End Juniors in Huddersfield, and then sort of scouts came to watch. We were a decent team. Quite a few of us got picked up, and literally from like 7 or 8. I was training with Huddersfield, signed, and I stayed there until I was 25. So, talk about being institutionalised. I was there right from the start of my career. Probably only had less than a year playing at Sunday League level. Probably didn't start playing football until I was maybe 6 at school. But yeah, I was in the system there from really young.
And you're always goalkeeper?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of regret that now because I loved it at the time, but the amount of times I've had to save the ball in my face or worse. I just wish I could have had all the glory like the strikers, not having a touch and then scoring the last minute winner and being man of the match, but wasn't to be.
I'm sure you had some of your penalty saves and things like that though. That's sort of your equivalent, right, of getting the last minute winner.
Yeah, that is the equivalent. I was speaking to someone the other day about it, and we're just sort of saying a good day for a goalkeeper it's a little bit like a referee. It's like going unnoticed. Yeah. Whereas a striker, like I said, I played with strikers that wouldn't have a touch, would be having a nightmare, but they'll score the winner in the last minute and they're walking off with a champagne and the man of the match trophy. And for me, that's just a different world. You have to be perfect for 90 minutes.
It's one of the most scrutinised, difficult positions. Right? I was speaking to Lee Camp a couple of weeks ago, and we were having a conversation about goalkeepers and the instant that happened with Kinski, and obviously it's completely heightened on one of the biggest stages as well. But I just felt so bad for him, because if a striker misses an open goal, he doesn't get pulled off. He stays on the pitch, right?
That was I know Campy well. I've been in dressing rooms with Campy, so he's a great guy. But that was just absolutely brutal. There's just no human element of man management for me. I had to think, this is a young man who's right at the start of his career in a fairly new club, and he's made the decision to play him, and to sort of make a fool out of him like that. It's going to really affect him mentally. And it's going to be so difficult to bounce back. But I just think that's really poor management.
I kind of tend to agree with you. To be fair, like, I'm a Spurs fan, so I may be a little bit more skin in the game for it. But me and Lee were talking about like the managers now have to be like great with psychology as well as like tactics, etc. You have to really understand how to read the behaviours, how to understand that individual. I don't think it was the right move to make, but
I played with some managers that were, excellent man managers like your Neil Warnocks and Ian Holloway's, people like that. But I also played for people that were just purely head coaches, like Enzo Maresca at Leicester just before I retired.
Yeah.
And I don't see how it's so difficult to be able to do both. I think I worked with Brendan Rodgers at Leicester, and he had a great way with doing both, and I think that's why he's been so successful. He was great, one-to-one as a person. He took interest in your life, but he was also an exceptional coach. So I think the ones that are really at the top and stay at the top, the ones that can get both right.
Yeah, absolutely. So you had a long career at Huddersfield, and then you moved on. What was the situation there? Was it your choice to move on? Was it a mutual agreement between you and the club?
It was quite odd, really, because I just signed a 3-year deal at Huddersfield, in the summer. And my daughter was born on the Tuesday or the Wednesday, and on the Friday night I got a phone call to say, don't come to the game tomorrow, we've just accepted a bid from QPR for you. So very, very bad timing, in terms of my private life, but quite a strange situation.
Wow, and that's a big move.
Yeah, I didn't really want to leave at the time. It was sort of 200 miles away. My family was settled. It was my hometown club, but it's a bit of a shake-up and a bit of a shock to the system. It probably took me 6 months actually to settle in at QPR because so much was going on away from the pitch, sort of trying to find somewhere to live, my wife to move down, my little one. But looking back now, I'm so pleased that I did, because you really had the opportunity to grow up, experience something new, and I had some great times at QPR. So I'm really thankful that actually now, in hindsight, that happened. I mean, timing could have been a little bit better, but a bit of a shock to the system.
That's the reality, isn't it, for a lot of footballers? And correct me if I'm wrong. So you didn't really have too much choice in it. The club have obviously got a value for you, and they saw that as good return on investment, and they're looking to get you out the door. And before you know it, you're down to London.
Exactly that. And the manager was Chris Powell at the time, who was a great guy, and it wasn't his decision. And he sort of said, "I want you to stay. If you go down there and you're not happy, come back here and you'll play at the weekend." And I really appreciated that from him at the time. But when the hierarchy at the club sort of want you out, I think you've got to read the script and think, no, it's time to move. And it probably was the right time to move, because I had stuff going on away from the pitch. I wasn't too focused on looking elsewhere, but everyone has a time to move, and I think sometimes just a change of scenery, a change of environment can spark your career, and that ended up being the case for me. And I ended up playing some of my best football at QPR.
Arguably some of your best football in your career, right? Am I right in saying you won some individual awards at QPR? Did you get Player of the Year, those sort of things?
Yeah, so I went there, and Rob Green was playing. He was meant to sign for West Ham, and that deal fell through. So I'd gone in there with the expectation that Greeny had to go to West Ham and I'd come in and play, and then that deal fell through, and I ended up having to bide my time, and I actually had to wait for a change of manager. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank came in. And took to me straight away, and he ended up putting me in the team quite early on, and I pretty much played for them for the next 2.5 years, and had some really good times there personally. I mean, as a team, we were sort of in and around mid-table. There was never really too much to shout out about. But
tough league though.
Yeah, and I loved it there. I loved Loftus Road. It's just one of those stadiums. The fans are right on top of you. I had some brilliant experiences there, and loved it. Absolutely loved it.
And was it a similar situation at the end of your contract at QPR when you moved on from QPR? Or
I think the timing of that was a little bit different. So it felt like QPR as a club was stagnating a little bit, and there was probably more of me pushing for that next move. I'd experienced change already, so I was comfortable with moving clubs. I realised how that sort of reignited something in me and helped me kick on to the next level, and I thought I might be able to do that again, and I knew there was interest from other clubs, and Cardiff had just been promoted to the Premier League, so that was it felt like a really good opportunity.
Yeah. And what was your time like at Cardiff?
Initially it was quite difficult, so we were in the Premier League, and Neil Etheridge was in the team. He was in the team as they got promoted from the Championship, and he ended up winning Player of the Year, and I just couldn't dislodge him. So it was quite a tough start, but similar to QPR, it took a bit of time, but I eventually got in sort of the second season, and had some really good times there personally. Again, I had some couple of really good seasons there, which is another great club. I'm so thankful for spending time down there. Being in the south of Wales is just a great place to live. Great people, the fans are wild. So
big club as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's a big club, and we're a little bit unlucky, really. I think my second season we got beat by Fulham in the playoffs, so I think that would have been our best opportunity to go back up to the Premier League, but wasn't to be, unfortunately.
That must be tough, right? The whole season, obviously putting yourself in a position to be in playoffs and then not quite getting over the line, having to reset and try go again the next season. What was that like?
Yeah, it's tough, but I think as footballers you become quite resilient to that, because you're so used to the ups and downs, and there are far more downs than ups, so I think you build that resilience, and you have a little break and you come back and you do it all again, and you know the good players are the ones that can rebound quickly.
And talking about ups and downs, obviously you then get a move to Leicester, and your career come to a stop because of your injuries. But then the positive thing comes out of it is you're in the position you are in now, right? And
yeah, so I had an enjoyable 18 months at Leicester, and I would have loved to stay on there. It was a completely different role to playing week in, week out. It was sort of that third choice role, and I enjoyed sort of helping the younger goalkeepers. There were some good goalkeepers there, and they also had one eye on the future. So I was sort of putting things in place, away from the game. I knew I had difficulties with my knee, and that I wasn't going to play until I was 42, like Craig Gordon or someone like that. I needed to think about what was next, and I found a great opportunity working with the financial advisors that I was a client of throughout my career. I sort of went in there initially sort of as an ambassador, because I saw what good things they do and how they help players. And now I'm working with them full time, so I'm really enjoying a completely new environment, but it's a new challenge that I'm enjoying.
So are you specifically there to support footballers? Obviously with your background, I suppose you've got experience, you understand the things that go through footballers' heads, you've been in those dressing rooms, and there's a lot more money in the game now. Even you hear these rumours, I don't know how true they are, but you've got young kiddies that are coming off and getting professional contracts that are big money contracts. Are you having conversations with young players, or is it seasoned professionals? How does it work?
Yeah, it's such a short career, and ideally we work with, someone signs their first pro deal, we're in the next room waiting for them to sort of discuss financial planning. In reality, it's not the case. Sort of young players and young people in general don't want to be talking about financial planning. I mean, no. They're right at the start of their adult lives. They want to enjoy themselves, and rightly so. The reality is it's a short career, and 40% of players go bankrupt within 5 years of retiring, and I think that's probably going to get even worse despite the levels of earnings increasing year on year. So and being the age I am, I've been around players that are friends that are now in financial difficulty in retirement, and it's really sad. So it's nice to feel like I'm doing some good giving back and helping these young people that are actually really vulnerable.
That's a crazy stat, isn't it? Like, wow. So from your experience of doing this, you're setting players up so they've got financial freedom until retirement, to help them with like paying back their mortgage and things like this, because any injury can happen, or you might get contracts might be torn up or something. Have you had a lot of those experiences already where you've been sort of like drafted in to help people that are in like crisis moments?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to plan for eventualities that players haven't even thought of. So we're meeting young players that might be 18 or 19 on the first professional deals, but we're we're thinking, right, career ends at 35. You need to have paid off a mortgage, for example. Yeah. It's something that most people in ordinary working lives don't even consider having paid off a mortgage in their early 30s, but we know that footballers' earnings are front loaded and they will fall off a cliff in the 30s and they will be left with a massive lump of debt. It can be a massive burden on their families. So that's just one example of one of the things that we're preparing those players for. So there's lots of stuff we do, but we work with over 250 players now across mainly the Premier League and the Championship. So we have we have real experience in it. We've been around for 20 years, and myself, I've been a client for the last 15. So I've lived and breathed it. And I think because I was a client, it resonates with the players a little bit more. I've been on both sides of it, and I understand what's going on in their minds when they want to talk about it, when they don't. I understand the chat that goes on in the dressing room. So I think that's been really useful.
Yeah, I'm sure that's really reassuring for those individuals. But the people that do go bankrupt, is it really like a lifestyle sort of where they don't want to change their lifestyle in terms of like they want to keep buying the expensive things or keep paying for the expensive house? Is it more that they don't want to like change their lifestyle and their expenses?
There's lots of that. Obviously, it's hard to put the genie back in the bottle. So once you start living a certain lifestyle, it's hard to go backwards. And often players will need to, especially if they don't start any financial planning until later on in their careers. It's very hard to maintain a lifestyle that they've become accustomed to, especially if they're sort of playing in the Premier League. Where it works best is we work with these players from a younger age, and budgeting is a massive factor. If they're not in control of a budget, then everything else falls apart. So lifestyle is definitely one reason. I think clearly divorce rates are sky high for ex-footballers.
Really? Wow.
There are lots of reasons why people fail financially, but we have seen them all, and we're sort of best placed to guide them through the process and try and make the transition away from the game as smooth as possible.
Yeah, I remember going back to Lee Camp, he was telling me about a story when he was at QPR, and a lot of those players there were like, they were banking on promotion because the bonuses and stuff that they got, like that would really like help them financially. They weren't on loads of money compared to like I think he was on loan there from Derby. But a lot of these players are probably similar to you when you was in the Championship. If you get a promotion to the Premier League, your salary goes up, right?
Yeah, I've seen it with friends of mine that have been in the Championship, been promoted. They've doubled their salary overnight, but they've also doubled their level of expenditure. Yeah. And then if they're relegated that next season, what then?
They're not halving their expenses, are they? Yeah.
I think you've got to understand a lot of these players are vulnerable. They're in their 20s earning big money. I mean, what would most people in their 20s be doing? They wouldn't be thinking about saving and pensions and ISAs and things like that. They would be going out living their life and enjoying it. But unfortunately, footballers don't have the time to make large financial mistakes.
Yeah, you know what? It's really interesting because I was lucky when I was at school. We were one of the only schools that had finance as a subject. Not many of the secondary schools had it, and that gave me sort of a first step into understanding what borrowing is, what credit is, what investments are, these sort of things. But you don't really get that education when you're young, and I don't. Doesn't seem like it's something which is sort of in the syllabus at school, but. Do you as a team, do you go into academies and try and educate some of the young players on what borrowing is and what these sort of things are? Because a lot of them now,
I think it's happening more for football. I wish it was a larger subject in school because it's so important. I think I've heard so many people talking the way you're talking about. It should be part of the syllabus in schools. It's so important. Financial education. I think one of the key things that we do is educate these players. It's actually quite difficult to get into clubs, to speak to players, even to come in to do an education piece. I think clubs are very protective of access to players, but also I think they would need to do a fair amount of due diligence to make sure they're inviting the right people in, because I've seen some people that I know are not doing quite the right thing have access to players, and it's a bit of a tricky situation. So I think we would try to deal with families directly if we possibly can.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's quite difficult to access players via the clubs. I think they're a bit concerned that if they put you into someone, they may not have your best interest at heart. So it's tough.
That's really interesting, because I suppose it's like kind of a responsibility of the clubs to make sure that the young players have got all the tools that they need, so they can, if they are released, because I think the release rates are very high, right? The percentage of someone actually making it as a professional footballer is really, really quite small. I thought that they would have teams like yourselves working alongside them to educate these individuals.
I think at the big clubs that there are people that do this. It's certainly a topic that we discuss all the time. There needs to be far more of it. I think clubs owe it to the players to help them on every aspect of their lives. When players are dedicating so much time to the club, there should be some concern for what they do away from the club and what they do once they leave. So I think there are clubs that do great things with players in terms of, especially the financial side of it, but I think there are a lot of clubs that can do better as well. Yeah.
Well, it's really interesting. Alex, I'm sure there'll be some footballers or ex-footballers listening to this. How did I get in touch with you to find out a bit more about your services?
Yeah, so you can go to the Brooks Sport website, or I can give you my details, my email, my phone number, and you can sort of attach them to this if you wouldn't mind doing that. But certainly take a look at Brooks Sport. We're part of a broader business with Brooks Financial and Brooks McDonald, which sort of manage other people in different careers. We are the sports department, so sport is our world. So it's slightly different financial planning because of the length of the career and how career earnings are front loaded. But we're certainly open to speaking to people.
And you've got that knowledge, right? You've got a T-shirt, you've been there, you've done it, and I'm sure that helps you sort of, at least like for people to connect with you, because you understand where they've been. So that's wicked. We're gonna move on to the next section here, which is inside the dressing room. So I'm going to ask you some questions. I know I've given you some a bit of time beforehand, so we'll see how you got on with some of these. Who's the best player you played with and why?
I had to think about this. This is tough because I've played with some great players, and I feel like I'm going to be letting some people down. I think the person that stands out to me is actually right at the start of my career from the England youth teams, and it's a player that probably, due to injuries, didn't go on to do what everyone expected, but Jack Wilshere. Oh. So Jack Wilshere was playing. Sorry, you're a Spurs fan.
No, it's good. I don't mind it. He was so good. Go on, carry on.
He was playing sort of a couple of years up in the England youth teams, and he just ran the show, and it was like, this kid is amazing. But
yeah,
I think had injuries not stopped him, he would have been world class for a long period of time.
I was genuinely talking to someone about Jack Wilshere the other day, and we were talking about the game. I think Arsenal played Barcelona in the Champions League. Do you remember it? And it was like a moment, right? I think Iniesta and Xavi were on the pitch.
Yeah.
But Jack Wilshere was the one who was absolutely bossing the game.
Unbelievable, yeah.
So good. It's such a shame, right? Because if you look back on his career, you say about his injuries and that, he's probably one of those players that had potential to be an England great as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He never quite got there. I think injuries played a key part in that, which is just quite sad, actually.
That's a great shout, though. We'll go on to the next question. Who was the most underrated player that you played with?
I've gone for Lee Tomlin. So Lee Tomlin I played with at Cardiff, but he was just a magician.
He was, wasn't he? Low centre of gravity.
Yeah. I think Tomo will be the first to admit that he didn't always do things quite right, but he was a bit of a rogue and he did his own thing. But I had certain spells with him where he was just winning games by himself, and I think he could have easily played for a good period in the Premier League. But yeah, no, it never quite happened for him.
Because he played, was it League One, Championship, quite heavily,
I think he had
right?
a spell at Bournemouth, Bristol City. He was at Cardiff with me, but probably outstanding player.
Is he quite tough as well? He always gave me the impression he's quite a tough player.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Love it. Who was the manager you connected with the most?
I think I was lucky to play for some amazing managers, but one right at the start of my career is Lee Clark. Came in at Huddersfield, and I think we had a bit of a bond because it was his first managerial job, but I was literally right at the start of my career, and he backed me, and I felt like he was probably risking a little bit to stick with an 18-year-old goalkeeper in the first team, and he was like, "No, you're my number one." Like we had senior goalkeepers at the club, and for him to back me, it held a lot of weight, and I had a lot of loyalty to him for that. But yeah, and he was a little bit old school, which I loved, to be honest.
What about him was old school? Was it
we used direct? To look out at the races with the team.
Really?
Yeah,
love that.
But his staff was like Terry McDermott, Derek Fazackley, some proper legends of the game. So it was great times, especially when it was all new to me as a first team player. So I loved it.
And they talk about like sliding doors moments. He comes in, and it's his choice to give you the opportunity. Right? If he hadn't come in, who knows what would have happened with your career? And you do need those moments. A little bit of
that was definitely one of them.
Obviously, you make your own luck, but a little bit of luck as well. Okay, that's interesting. So the next question here is: who was the toughest striker that you faced?
I think this is another difficult one. I was thinking Alexander Mitrovic, but I've ended up going for Jamie Vardy just because he's not necessarily tough, but he's ruthless, and any opportunity will take it. I mean, obviously we know all these antics that he gets up to, and he's a mate of mine now after my time at Leicester, but I don't think I could leave him out.
He was a great finisher. I mean, he still is. Are you still in contact with him? Obviously, he's playing out in Italy at the moment. How is he enjoying life out there?
Yeah, he's loving it. Yeah, I mean, he's always enjoyed his life. That's for certain. So it's just another step. He could keep going for years, though. I think he's fit. He's as fit as they come. So I don't see him stopping anytime soon.
What really works hard all the time, though, just doesn't stop. Yeah. Even I think he was it last year? Last year, Leicester was still in the league, right, in the Premier League, right, and he was playing. But I think a lot of people may be thinking, oh, maybe Jamie Vardy not going to play as much. He played quite a lot of games in the Premier League still.
Yeah, I mean he's really lightweight, but he's still rapid. He's still sharp, and you know, people like that are just born finishers. So I think he can keep going for years to come.
Great player. Was there one save that meant the most to you?
This is a difficult one as well, and I think penalty saves always stand out, and it's actually a few saves. I saved 2 or 3 in the League One playoff final for Huddersfield when I was like 19, 20. So it'd be so hard to overlook that, being my hometown club helping us get promoted. So I'd have to go with that.
What a feeling that must have been. The adrenaline must have been crazy.
Yeah, at Wembley Stadium, I was looking behind the goal and I could see friends that I went to school with. It was like, because it was my hometown club, it was so special, and I think it's hard to overlook that.
Have you got pictures of that somewhere in the house?
I've got my shirt and my gloves in it. Yeah, I've got them. So it's one of the things I'm probably proudest at, especially when I'm sort of living close to the area now. I've moved back. Yeah. And, I see people who always want to talk about it. So it's
do they?
Amazing memories.
I love that. So when you left Huddersfield, correct me if I'm wrong, they got promoted to the Premier League. Was it 1 or 2 seasons after you left? What was that like? Because you was at another club, obviously contracted to another club, but your hometown team, the team that you grew up with, got to the Premier League. It must have been still like quite a big moment for you.
Yeah, I went to the playoff final actually as a fan. Yeah, so I was
Nice.
at QPR at the time, and there's actually a little bit of talk about me moving back there, and that's around the time that I ended up moving to Cardiff. So, um, I mean, I was still buzzing for the club. At the time, I still knew everyone that was there. I mean, there's a lot of staff that are still there now that I was
Yeah.
close with. It's a great club, so no, I was delighted for him.
That's crazy. You actually went there as a fan. What a story. I love it. Was there any other situations where you had like transfers that didn't that nearly there were nearly transfers that didn't quite pay off or not?
Yes and no. I think there's every summer there is talk of where you might move, especially if you're off the back of a good season. Um, and I always used to take it with a pinch of salt because there is so much that needs to happen
For
and
that,
to
yeah.
line up in order for a transfer to happen. You know, your contract situation needs to be right. The club needs to be able to afford you. The fee needs to be right. There's so much that needs to happen, and these moves are actually quite difficult to make happen. So I always took a lot of it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, fair, fair, fair. We'll go on to some quick fire now. So, you ready?
Yeah, do it.
What was the best stadium you played in?
I always say St James's. Just incredible. Yeah, unbelievable.
I've never actually watched a game there, but I've been around the town. People there so passionate for football. Love it. Who's the most skillful player you played with?
I'd probably go with Ravel Morrison. Just a magician. And another one that didn't quite fulfil his potential, but I remember watching his first training session and thinking this guy should win the Ballon d'Or. He's unbelievable. It's just so easy for him.
Top player. When he was at West Ham, they played Spurs, and I think it was one of his games in his career where he really showed everyone what he was doing. He was so good,
Yeah,
so
if
good.
fans could see him in training because matches are structured nowadays. There's all these tactics. When Ravel had free reign to do what he wanted in training, he was just unbelievable. What he could do was incredible.
Yeah, yeah, and so many people have said that previously, right? Who was the hardest trainer that you saw?
This is another difficult one because I've met so
Must
many
be a
great
lot.
professionals. I've gone with Jonathan Hogg, who was like captain at Huddersfield for 10 years. He's just a machine. Do you know the
Yes.
SAS TV programme?
Yeah,
I think Hoggy'd smash it. He'd do
it
it
doesn't
back to back.
surprise me at all.
Yeah, he's just a machine.
Absolute like pitbull in midfield.
Yeah.
He was Watford. He had quite a few years at Huddersfield, didn't
Yeah,
he?
he did. I think he had over 10 years there and played a ton of games, but he's just an absolute machine.
Good player as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
Really, really good player. What was the one stadium you hated playing in?
I mean, I've had a few stinkers in my time, so the list is quite the list is quite long. But one game I always look back on, and I only ever went there once, was Grimsby away in the FA Cup. I remember thinking, I never want to come back here. It was chucking it down. It was blowing a gale. The pitch was like a cow field. The water was dripping from the changing room ceiling. The fans were awful. Just everything about it. I just thought, I never want to come back here.
You must get that a lot as a goalkeeper, right? So our local team is Bromley, and they're doing pretty
Yeah,
well
doing great,
in League Two at the moment, and it's all quite close to the pitch, but the away goalkeepers get pelted. But you must have had that quite a lot, right?
Yeah, every week.
Every-
That's just the home games.
Do you just have to try and block it out? Was there any situations where you've had to say something or?
I used to have, if there were a few on the front row, I used to have a laugh when you're going to get the ball from behind the goal or whatever it might be. I used to try and have a laugh with them, but yeah, I've had some interesting experiences, that's for sure.
Tough place to be in the net, right? Was there a glove brand that you trusted? Was there one that you stayed with, like football boots? I guess goalkeepers are the same with gloves.
At the start of my career, I was with Reusch, and I think they're just they're a classic glove brand, and I wore them for the majority of my career and loved them. And I think there's some famous pictures of like Peter Schmeichel, who was like an idol of mine growing up, wearing them, and I couldn't look past Reusch.
And was he your childhood hero?
Yeah,
Schmeichel?
absolutely. Yeah. I just loved his character, his personality, how brave he was. He was like the one goalkeeper I looked up to when I was a kid.
Yeah, I think he was, in my eyes, probably the best Premier League goalkeeper I think there has been.
He's definitely in the top 2 or 3.
Oh, absolutely. Who was the best player you played against?
This is another one that I've gone back to my England youth days, and I've gone for Tony Kroos, playing for Germany. So it's fair to say he went on to have a fairly decent career.
You've done all right.
Winning the Champions League a ton of times and what have you. So and I think they battered us 3-0, and I'm sure he scored a couple of them. So
really,
yeah, special.
What a player! That's a pretty cool thing to say that you played with against Tony Kroos.
Yeah, I tell everyone whenever they ask. Don't worry about that.
Is that like the first time you see someone? Yeah. What a player! I think he retired I think he retired in like early 30s as well from Real Madrid. This is the last question. One word to describe Huddersfield.
It's got to be home. It's where I was born, where I started playing. Played nearly 300 games for them. It's got to be home. Do you
still talk to any fans if you see them in the streets and stuff? Do they come up to you a lot?
My next door neighbour is the chief executive.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, so you get some tickets?
Yeah, I'm looked after. Yeah. I'm well looked after.
Wicked. Cheers, Alex. So the last bit we're going to do is football blackjack. So as part of our app, we do this game, and it started when I was doing fantasy football FPL, but I always got to Christmas and I ended up giving up. So we made this game, and it's you get 4 picks, and all of those 4 picks have to score at least 1 goal. You're aiming for 21 goals.
I'm shocking at football trivia, by the way.
No. It's all good. I
think I've saved the ball in my face too many times.
Concussed too many times.
Yeah, just a bit.
So you've got 21 goals, and you've got to pick 4 players to try and reach 21 goals. Well, they all have to score at least 1 goal in that season. We're going to do last season, so 24-25 season in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I will give you, after you say a name, I will tell you how much you've got, so you can go off that.
I'm thinking someone I played with, Danny Welbeck.
10 goals. You've got 10 Premier League goals.
10
Premier League. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Danny.
You got 10 Premier League goals last season, so you're on 10. So you got 3 more. No, to be fair, that's all right. Great player, by the way.
How many did James Ward-Prowse have?
Ooh. James Ward-Prowse.
I'm trying to think players that score like sub 10.
Yeah.
I want to guarantee the...
James Ward-Prowse. Ooh. Where was he last year? Was he still playing for West? Was he playing for West Ham?
Not West Ham.
Yeah, I think he was, because he's gone out on loan now, hasn't he? Let's find him. Where is he? He's on loan at Burnley at the moment.
Or was he on
free
loan
kick
last
taker
year?
as well.
This is how bad my trivia is.
So last year, he had a loan spell at Forest as well. So he played for West Ham and Forest within that season. He got 1 goal. So you're on 11.
So I'll take that.
It's all right. At least you're active still.
What about Jared Bowen?
What a player.
I'm a bust.
13.
Oh my god.
Bust.
I'm shocking at this, sorry.
No, absolutely fine. No, it's all good. It happens quite a lot. And what's quite interesting is like you'll get like, I think it was last year, I think like 30% of the group picked Rodri, and then he done his ACL.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So like they were just completely done for the season. Look, thanks for playing, Alex. Look, really appreciate you coming onto the podcast. It's been nice knowing about your career and what you're doing after football. And look, hopefully some people listen to this and get in touch. But yeah, for now, thanks Alex, appreciate it.
Thanks very much, cheers.